guys, this Hey guys, this is Sean Smith from the Smith Law Firm and the Teach Legal YouTube channel. I've been getting a lot of questions lately on whether or not my job or my employer can ask me certain information regarding vaccination status, particularly for COVID-19. I thought I'd jump on here really quick just to kind of discuss some of these different questions that we've been getting here at the firm. Again, before we get into that, please remember, this is not legal advice. I am a lawyer, but I am not your lawyer. I don't know you. Most likely, you don't know me. So therefore, it'd be kind of silly to think that I was advising you legally. But if you do have a legal issue, I encourage you to speak with a local lawyer about your particular issue. So let's get into it. The first question I get is, and please forgive because I'm referring to notes at the same time, but the first question that I get is, does the HIPAA rule prohibit businesses or individuals from asking whether their customers or clients have received a COVID-19 vaccine? No, it does not. The HIPAA rule, the privacy rule, does not prohibit any person, whether it be an individual or a business or something, or some type of other entity, including what we call HIPAA covered entities, and we'll talk about that in a second, from asking whether an individual has received a particular vaccine, including COVID-19 vaccines. First, keep in mind the HIPAA privacy rule applies only to covered entities. And when we say covered entities, we're talking about health plans, like your health insurance, or whatever that may be, healthcare providers, your doctor, your dentist, your physical therapist, your chiropractor, your eye doctor, your mental health therapist. Those are covered entities. And the last category of covered entity is what we call healthcare clearinghouses. Those are the only three entities primarily, and maybe some of their business associates, that HIPAA applies to. Second, the HIPAA privacy rule does not regulate the ability of these entities, these covered entities, and business associates to request information from patients or visitors. Rather, what it does is it regulates how and when these covered entities are permitted to use protected health information. It regulates how they store this information, how they disseminate this information, how they transmit this information. But it does not regulate whether or not they can inquire as to one's vaccination status. Some examples of permissible information requests are if a school asks an employee, a teacher, if he or she has been vaccinated, does not violate HIPAA. If you go into a store, they're allowed to ask you that as a condition. If you go into a restaurant, they are permitted to ask you if you've been vaccinated. Another individual can ask you at a commercial establishment. Your doctor can ask you. Someone else's doctor can ask you if you've been vaccinated. So keep in mind, as a recap, the HIPAA privacy rule does not prevent businesses or individuals from inquiring or asking whether or not one has been vaccinated for COVID-19 or any other disease for that matter. Another question that I get from time to time is whether or not the HIPAA privacy rule prevents customers or clients of a business establishment from disclosing whether or not they've received the COVID-19. No, it does not. The HIPAA privacy rule does not prevent any person, any individual from disclosing whether he or she has been vaccinated against COVID-19 or any other disease. So therefore, it doesn't prevent anyone from disclosing that. It kind of makes sense if you think about it. If you disclose any information about yourself, that's a voluntary thing. But I get questions regarding that from time to time. So keep in mind, HIPAA does not prevent anyone from disclosing their vaccination status in the workplace. And the last but not least question that I get a lot is probably the most controversial question I get is whether or not the HIPAA privacy rule prohibits an employer from requiring an employee or somebody of their workforce to disclose whether they've received a COVID-19 vaccine. No, the HIPAA privacy rule does not prevent an employer from requiring of their employees to disclose whether or not they've been vaccinated. Keep that in mind. And as a matter of recap, generally speaking, the HIPAA rule does not regulate what information can be requested or mandated as a part of their employment. It only regulates how they store their information. So what that means is if an employer requires you to disclose whether or not you've been vaccinated or whatever health issue they may be requiring information about, they have to keep that secure. And generally, they have to keep that separate from your employment file as well, because HIPAA is implicated on how they store it, how they transmit it, how they disseminate it. Again, these are three of the probably most popular questions I get regarding HIPAA, COVID-19 vaccination, and workplace questions, or what have you. If you have any questions, please leave us a comment. And always remember, this is not legal advice. I am a lawyer, but not your lawyer. And I will see you next time.